Shall I start, madam? Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to this presentation. I am Maleesha Perera, a fourth year student from Faculty of Communication and Business Studies and Department of Languages and Communication Studies, Trincomalee Campus, Eastern University of Sri Lanka. And before beginning this presentation, I wish to deliver my sincere gratitude to Dr. Nirupa Jayasundara, Senior Lecturer, Department of Languages and Communication Studies, Faculty of Communication and Business Studies at Trincomalee Campus, Eastern University of Sri Lanka. In this presentation, I hope enrich your knowledge regarding the topic dissimilation. Let's move to the topic. Today's topic is dissimilation. As you can see, I'm going to talk about the phonological process, what is dissimilation and types of dissimilation, and haplology and assimilation versus dissimilation, and the next, the key differences and similarities between assimilation and dissimilation. Nextly, dissimilation synonyms and its meanings. Last but not least, utilizing dissimilation synonyms for language enrichment, and guide to mastering dissimilation process in English writing. In here, we can see there are several processes that affect the phonetic realization of phonemes in different contexts. In the other words, when we simply say there are several general processes which results in different allophones of the same phoneme. As you can see, these processes are assimilation, dissimilation, insertion, deletion, strengthening, weakening, nasalization, and palatalizations, and so on. Assimilation is a sound, the sound becomes more like a neighboring sound in articulated terms. There are voicing assimilation, vowel nasalization. In the second process, in dissimilation, we are going to talk about what is dissimilation and how a sound becomes less like a neighboring sound in articulated terms. In insertion, which is also called epenthesis, in here, the segment is inserted within an existing string of segments. Likewise, we have deletion, strengthening, weakening, nasalization, and palatalization as a phonological process. In here, my main topic is dissimilation. Let's move to the check what is dissimilation. Dissimilation is the linguistic process where two similar or identical sounds in close proximity within a word become less alike. In simple terms, dissimilation is the alteration of a sound within a word to make it less similar to another adjacent or nearby sound. According to Patrick By, the term dissimilation entered the field of phonology in the 19th century from rhetoric. This process is generally occurs to increase the distinctness and clarity in pronunciation of word. And the dissimilation occurs at both phonetic and phonological levels. Although dissimilation is a widespread phenomenon in many languages. Understanding dissimilation is important in linguistic studies, and it helps linguists analyze sound changes and patterns within languages. And also it provides an insight into language evolution and historical changes. And it may help to shed light on the subconscious efforts speakers make to communicate clearly and fluently. Dissimilation occurs at, as I already told, in phonetic and phonological level. In phonetic dissimilation, sounds change articulatorily, making it easier for speakers to pronounce specific words. In phonological dissimilation, on the other hand, involves a more abstract sound change that conforms to a language's phonological rules. Therefore, the position of the affected sound in a word, including their relation to stressed syllables, may play a vital role in the dissimilation process, And dissimilation often occurs between sounds in different syllables and or with the one sound in a stressed syllable and the other hand in an unstressed syllable. Dissimilation is often the result of language change over time. As speakers strive for clarity, they unconsciously, unintentionally modify words or sounds which ultimately become firmly established within a language. This process can contribute to linguistic diversity in different forms and dialects. Next, move to the real life dissimilation examples for better understanding. As you can see in here, the word regular, the pronunciation of the word regular shifts the L in the sound syllable to an R, resulting in regular. In purple, um, in some English dialects, purple undergoes dissimilation, transforming it to purple by challenging the second up to a b. It becomes easier for native speakers to pronounce the word very clearly. And in February, as we already know, many English speakers favor the pronunciation February over its original form February. This transition is attributed to dissimilation and it is making the alteration more comfortable in oral communication. Therefore, we can see there are types of dissimilation in our next slide. And the first type of dissimilation is regressive dissimilation. Regressive dissimilation, a sound that comes later in the word influences the sound that comes before it, leading to a change in the earlier sound. The most famous example is original pronunciation of library is library, but modified pronunciation due to a dissimilation process is library. Mostly children speak like this way, and the sound that comes later in the word influences the earlier sound and causing it to be omitted for easier pronunciation. And the next dissimilation type is progressive dissimilation. Progressive dissimilation, where a sound that comes earlier in the word influences the sound that comes after it. It leads to a change in the later sound. Original pronunciation of caterpillar is caterpillar, but modified pronunciation is caterpillar. The first it influences the second it, often causing it become a simpler or omitted sound. Though this example, it maintains very similarly. Third type is total dissimilation, where a sound is completely changed or eliminated from the word. In here, you can see the word kernel. But due to the dissimilation process, we used to say kernel. The L sound is eliminated because we omit the L sound and simplifying the word for easier pronunciation. Next, partial dissimilation. Here, a sound is changed slightly from its original pronunciation, but not completely eliminated. Original pronunciation of word surprise, but due to a dissimilation process, it modified as a surprise. The r sound is slightly altered and it often reduced, making the word easier to pronounce. Fifth one is manner dissimilation. In English, it changes in the manner of articulation and such as a stop becoming a fricative to avoid similarity. The best example for it, the word fifth and sixth, sometimes pronounced as fifth, sixth, to the communicative process and communicative simply. In casual speech, where the stop F and S changes to the similar F sound, and it can easily pronounced and the speaker can understand what is this word is. Next is nasal dissimilation. It involves the change of one nasal sound to another or to a non-nasal sound. In Latin language, alma means soul became alma in some Romance languages, where the first N nasal sound dissimilates to L. The seventh type of dissimilation pattern is liquid dissimilation. In here, it changes involving liquid consonants like il and ir. In Italian language, most words are derived from Latin or Greek. In Latin, uh, Peregrinus becomes Italian Pellegrino, where ir dissimilates il. As you can see, there are types of dissimilation patterns and we can use in our daily life. The next subtopic is haplology. Haplology is a type of dissimilation where a repeated sequence of sounds within a word simplified by omitting one occurrence of the sequence. Haplology is sometimes called syllabic syncope. Also, it is defined as the drop-in of one of two similar or identical causative syllables or sounds in a word. Simply saying, haplology refers to a phonological phenomenon where a sequence of sound is simplified by dropping one of the repeated elements. This usually occurs when two similar or identical syllables are adjacent or close to each other within a word. In phonology, linguists jokingly say haplology itself is a haplology because haplology becomes haplology. In here, you can see some examples. Morphophonemics, it becomes morphonemics. Similarly, it becomes simile. Probably, it becomes probably. Library, it becomes library. And in haplology, there are some purpose and functions. It makes easier of articulation and it has auditory clarity and it gives a language evolution. Next, we can thoroughly understand how haplology works. In word probably, standard pronunciation is probably, but haplogized form is probably. The repeated ub sound sequence is simplified by dropping one of the sound and resulting probably. In next example, alcoholic, standard pronunciation is alcoholic, but haplogized form is alcoholic. The repeated k sound sequence is simplified by dropping one of the k sound and result it as alcoholic. I think you may have a clear idea what is an haplology, and there are some mechanism of haplology in our next slide. Mechanism of haplology are adjacent syllables, effort reduction, and phonological simplification. Haplology often occurs when two identical or very similar syllables are adjacent in syllables. Effort reduction is the process where reduces the effort required to pronounce complex or lengthy sequence of sounds. And also in phonological simplification, it reflects a natural tendency in language and to favor simpler and more efficient forms. Now let's move to what are the different similarities between assimilation versus dissimilation. You may have a doubt what is assimilation and what is dissimilation, how it is connected to each other. Assimilation is the process in which two adjacent or nearby sounds become more like, often resulting in one sound taking on the characteristic of the other. The best example for it, handbag becomes handbag. But in dissimilation, is the process where two similar identical sounds within a word change to become less alike, not more alike. It enhances a word's distinct and clarity in pronunciation, but in assimilation, it improves a speaker's fluency and it eases pronunciation. Now let's talk about what are the differences and similarities in assimilation versus dissimilation. In next slide, we can see assimilation involves the convergence of sounds, whereas the dissimilation involves their divergence. Assimilation enhances fluency, while dissimilation improves clarity and distinctness. When we talk about similarities, in both process occur at phonetic and phonological levels within a language, as you already know. And assimilation and dissimilation demonstrate speakers' subconscious effort to ease pronunciation and it improve communication. And both phenomena contribute to language change and evolution. Dissimilation next slide, we can see dissimilation synonyms. Dissimilation synonyms can significantly improve your language skills and enrich your vocabulary. By using these dissimilation synonyms, you can diversify your written and spoken language and while maintaining clarity and readability. Discovering new dissimilation synonyms and their meanings is crucial for expanding our vocabulary and gaining a better grasp of the dissimilation process. And you can see the synonyms are divergence, modification, transformation, and variation. In divergence, it refers to the process of becoming less alike or moving apart, possibility due to the dissimilation. In modification, it modifies an alteration or change in something, such as the sound within a word due to a dissimilation. In transformation, we can transform through a dramatic change in something and relating to the broader context of linguistic change, including dissimilation. In variation, a change or difference in something often associated with dissimilation and linguistic diversity. By understanding the meaning and application of these dissimilation synonyms, we will be able to equip it to create diverse and engaging linguistic experiences for our readers and listeners when we communicate with each other. In our next slide, we can see how we utilize dissimilation synonyms for language enrichment. Firstly, we can increase clarity in our spoken and written communication, and it gives better understanding of complex linguistic concepts, and it enhanced ability to express yourself in diverse way. By incorporating these synonyms, we can open the door to a more engaging and expressive linguistic experience for both ourselves and our audience. Last but not least, these are the guide to mastering dissimilation process in English writing. First one is understanding the basics. As you know, now you may have a clear idea what is dissimilation. Therefore, start by familiarizing yourself with dissimilation and what is dissimilation, how it is used, and what is the concept of dissimilation. Furthermore, learn the key differences between dissimilation and other linguistic concepts as assimilation. And next thing is identify dissimilated words. You can develop a list of words and identify what are the dissimilated words when you read something, when you listen something, when you write something, and when you speak something. Focus on these words while you ensuring and correctly apply the dissimilation process to your all text. And considering the dialects, and there are many various dialects of English, and it has different dissimilation patterns. Explore the different related to your target dialect and adjust your write accordingly to accommodate these patterns. And proofreading means after completing your written work or spoken style, allocate sufficient time to proofread your text or your words thoroughly. Pay extra attention to enrich your words that could have undergone the dissimilation process. And last one is seeking feedback. And you can ask from your lectures and another neighboring international foreigners or some colleagues or teachers who have a strong command of the English language, and you can improve your dissimilation word list to enrich your spoken and written ability. Therefore, now, I think you have a clear idea regarding what is dissimilation, how it processes, and what are the types of dissimilation, how we improve our dissimilation process in our language, and how it is influenced to linguistic and phonology. And thank you for being with me in this time duration. Thank you, madam, for giving me this valuable opportunity. Thank you for your cooperation, everyone.